Welcome to Subramani. I don't mentor anybody, but I do talk to a lot of people who are just starting off in their business, who are midway in their business. Somebody who started a business, then fell ill, and the business suffered, and all kind of people. And I can see a lot of positive language and a lot of negative language. And both of them are not very different, right? So some entrepreneur who has failed for whatever he did, he was partially successful, then the lockdown came, then he lost money. So these are all people who will come and say, oh, I've tried everything and I'm unable to make money, right? So this is one way of saying it. And somebody else will say that, oh, I didn't do well, so I've gone to a mentor and now he or she is mentoring me. This is the other way to look at it, right? There are some people who will say, okay, I will put in these rules for my business. If my business makes this much money in so much time, if I acquire so many clients, then only will I continue in the business. Not everybody has such strict and strong controls in their own lives, and especially in business. In service, it doesn't matter. At least you know how much you're earning. In business, it takes a long time because a lot of personal expenses get mixed there, personal travel get mixed with business travel. So you don't really make proper accounts, so you don't know whether you're making enough money. You'll make some money, of course, and if your expenses are low, then you will say, oh, I'm doing well because my needs are simple. That's not the way to look at it. The way to look at it is very different. You have to set up the rules. And then see whether you are making money as per those rules. But this is not so much about business, it's just about the language that people use and the language which people say. There is a person I met who has very little money to show by way of retirement funds, right? So the tendency is to think that he is earning less and therefore he is unable to save money, which is true. He is not earning so much compared to today's people. He is in the real world. He is in proper business, proper business in the sense he is in employment, but his wife is also earning some money, but they are earning very little money. They are staying in the rented house and the rent is very reasonable, but the car that he drives is huge. He does not need such a big car. Now try telling this to somebody, you are hurting his ego. And then he'll come out with all kinds of, no, I finished repaying the loan and things like that. He's got no money to save for his retirement, but he's got money to run a big car. Now that doesn't work that way. And then therefore once you have a car, you feel like making short trips, making long trips and all that. And then you justify all those things. I see people doing all those things. So there are only few things which can really make you rich. One, completely no question about which is one, that is pay yourself first. When I say pay yourself first, make your list of your goals and say, okay, these goals I'm putting money. The goals where you're not putting money is just a wish, right? It's like me saying, oh, I want to reduce weight, and then going and picking up some rasgulla or gulab jamun in a buffet, right? So I should not be doing that. So that's very clear. So to reduce weight, you have to eat less, you have to eat sensibly, you have to eat at the right times, and you have to exercise. There is no doubt about that. You cannot say, oh, I'm eating just 1 spoon of sugar, I'm using only 3 spoons of sugar in the whole day, or things like that. When you say no, you have to say no. So similarly, pay yourself first. This is goal number 1, goal number 2, goal number 3, goal number 4. I'm putting X amount in each of those goals. Step number 1. So this will force you to do another thing, that is to invest before you spend. You cannot say, I will invest what is left after spending. So you have to invest and you have to spend what is left after investing. So that principally, if you can get that clear, this sounds very, very easy. It sounds very, very simple. It is very simple, but it does not mean it is easy to do. There are people who are addicted to spending for whatever reasons, and though they spend, I'm addicted to food, right? So when I see food, I go and eat. I overorder. I don't overorder as much as when I go in a group. There is always group overordering. So if you go as an individual, there is a challenge that you may not be able to finish the dish, and if you go as a group, there is a challenge that you will overorder. So be careful about those things, whether it is controlling your money or controlling your weight. That is step number 1. Step number 2, whatever is the balance which you are investing, make sure that you are investing sensibly and investing for the long run. So if you can get these 2-3 things right, basically 2 things right, then then your journey to creating wealth is on its way, right? One more language I hear quite commonly is to say, oh, I can't afford it, I'll charge it to the credit card. Which world are you living? By charging something to the credit card, you're actually dramatically increasing your cost, because you're going to be paying 42% interest on that if you hold it on for 1 year. And when there is a, let's say, a 3,000 rupee expense, when you pay only the minimum, it will take you 3 years at least to pay off completely, and it would have cost you 5,000 rupees. So how does if you can't afford it, you can't buy it. You can't afford it means you don't charge it on the credit card. It gets much worse if you charge it on the credit card. Another thing which I think is good advice is, people always tend to buy bigger than they need, right? So if you have to buy a house, and sorry to say, but I can't give you examples outside of Mumbai, and you are considering buying a house in Villeparla and that costs a lot of money, go further off, go to Andheri, maybe go to Malad, buy a smaller house, do that. Because the big expenses in most lives that I see are a car and a house, right? This I'm talking at the lower level. At the higher level, when there is wealth, then the income is here and the expenses are here, then it doesn't really matter, because the gap is so much that compounding anyway works. But if you are living on a hand to mouth basis, and that can be even be a 10 lakh 12 lakh kind of CTC, it's not a small CTC, but they could be living hand to mouth. In these cases, what goes wrong is buying a house much bigger than they need, buying a car much bigger than they need, and they will have a justification for everything. And these are the two big killers as far as expenses go, which has not been visible, because it's only a 48,000 rupees per month SIP, or a 72,000 per month SIP for a car. Of course, it's only 72,000, it's only 48,000. But the question is, can a smaller car do that work? But I'm very clear about one thing: do what is pleasurable for you, because we are all going to live long. We have to provide money for that, but you also have to develop skills for living that long. Please understand, looking after your health, looking after your social health, looking after your mental health, looking after your financial health, all that is important for living long. Because it's not just living long, you're not going to live in isolation. You're going to have some kind of social circle or something, because it's worse not to have social circle and suffer from dementia. So choose whatever you want, but basically remember these 2-3 things. Pay yourself first, and when you're buying the big things, buy them small, don't buy big, right? And I'm the same person who is giving advice to my friends to buy a 50 lakh rupee car and employ a driver, saying it's not worth driving in Mumbai. You have money, buy a bigger car, you're going to leave less money for your children, that's okay. But this is the advice for 60-year-olds. This is not the advice for 30-year-olds. If you're a 30-year-old trying to create wealth, use public transport, buy a small car, buy a small house. If you must, staying in a rented house, using Ola and Uber, all this makes sense, right? So you choose your path, but largely invest before you spend, and buy the big things small. And when you're investing for the long run, learn about investing. The best investment that you can make in your financial life is investing in learning about investment, and social media is not the place to. Thank you.